As soon as I entered the dining room, I saw him sitting in a corner, the only guest in there, intent on eating his meal. After looking for him in vain all day, there he was, Father Cornelius. It didn't seem real. Thinking about our encounter along the path leading to town, I should have imagined that he too was staying at the Gasthof Adler, since there were, in fact, no other hotels or inns nearby. This time I would not let him slip away. Judging by what was still on his plate, I estimated I had enough time to attempt a conversation. I sat down not too far away, but he did not seem to notice my presence. He was completely absorbed in his thoughts, and occasionally his lips moved as if he were speaking to himself. That evening, as the last arrival, I had to settle for a cold platter accompanied by a pint of beer. For the moment, it was enough to appease my hunger. However, since my thoughts were wandering elsewhere, what was most urgent for me, in fact, was to find the right words to start a discourse. I was simply waiting for the right moment, which, however, never seemed to arrive. Both due to the presence of the waitress who couldn't wait to be able to clear the table, and the fact that the priest was in a totally different world, it became increasingly difficult to attempt a first approach. Several times I'd cleared my throat to say something, perhaps to praise his lecture or to remind him of our brief encounter in the woods. It wouldn't have taken much, but each time something prevented me at the last moment. On the other hand, I didn't stop observing him for one instant. It may have been due to the poor lighting in the room and the dark wood-paneled walls, but compared to the brilliant speaker I had heard only a few hours earlier, I now seemed to have a different person before me, weary, a frowning man, oppressed by his thoughts. By now he had emptied his plate, and I could only count on the time it would take him to down the 2 gulps of beer that remained in his glass, a sip or two, after which he might well get up and go, leaving me in the lurch. I had to make a move. Suddenly, however, sensing that he was being watched, the priest looked up at me. He stared at me for a few moments, then gave a slight smile, a sign that he had recognized me.